they still gotta play us. Let's go, baby. Woo!
Hey, don't run that ball on the one Hubbard, showed you how that go down. Feeling like Santino, tell him we want all the smoke now. We ain't snooping that commercial, we don't put no smoke down. Plus we back and you can't hide, so it ain't nowhere safe to go now. We always gon' turn up in that jungle every time. How we ain't gon' win when we loaded in with 9? Plus T just came in signed, so the city gon' be fine. Jamar say he open every time and he ain't never lied. Look at how we win at it, the size of the old line. Giving Burrow extra time should be a federal crime. Hey, we right back on that path again. Put the division back to the test, they won't pass again. Orlando and Trent Brown, that's the Tower Twins. Feel like we only getting better as we stacking wins.
And we stacking.
Giuseppe in for 6, that's a gritty again. AFC North battles getting gritty again. It's Yoshi second year, we just brought Burton in. Vaughn back to ring some bells, get the cracking again.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. Home of some of the best rib rings around. That's right, it's Midwest Best Barbecue. And I ask you this every single day. If you have not checked out Midwest Best, why the hell not? Get out there to Wards Corner Avenue, right off 275. Get you some CTB wings, some Dillinator wings, some G-Funk. I have to ask Parker if he's got to check it out Midwest Best when he gets on the show here. But again, tell Tim and Nicole Ice sent you. Again, that's Midwest Best Barbecue. Also, the show is brought to you by Meyer Windows and Doors and more. Check them out at www.meyercincinnati.com for all your window and door needs. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. Also, my West Side peeps, check out Hail Mary's. Your ticket to the game. They got big-ass TV screen, beer specials, food trucks, free parking. It's a great little spot right there in the heart of Cheviot, right in the heart of the West Side. Again, it's Hail Mary's, your ticket to the game. What is up to everybody in the chat now? I think we had something that is very unusual here. By my calculations of the chat here, Stranger was not the first one in. Tony Blazing was the first one in. And he said something about the techno music, which I guess you mean the old music I had on there. I'm not sure. But anyway, Tony Blazing's in there. Stranger's in there. Paul Painter's in there. Brad's in there. Parker Blake. Pancake is in there. He's going to be on the show, too. Charles, what's going on? Andrew's in there. And Kevin, what is up, everybody? All right. We are on the week 2. We're moving on to Burrowhead, on to Kansas City. And we're going to discuss O-line because we have Parker Blake on here. But my question to you guys, and I kind of say this, and I'm kind of going to answer it myself, is this a must-win? I say no, because last year we started out 0-2. And the year before that, I think we got to start out 0-2 or 1-1, something like that. I can't remember. But I know it's 4 years in a row we've lost the first game. I don't think it's a must-win. I do think the offensive line looked really good. Except the right side. My question is, when is Mims going to be put in? That's what I'm curious about. Anyway, let's get to the man with all the answers for your offensive lineman. I call him Pancake. I call him Pancake Parker Blake. What? Oh, jeez. Hold on. New stuff here. I got to click it around here. Hold on. Hang on. There we go, Parker. Sorry, man.
There we go.
Hey, I got too many new things on here. It's messing me all up, so. What's up?
Technology over there, brother.
Yeah, freaking technology. It sucks sometimes, man. So anyway, what is going on? Long time no see. I got an old picture of you. I gotta get a new picture with the hair and everything, but I get the old picture there. So
yeah.
What's been going on, man? How did the offensive line look for the Bengals on Sunday?
Yeah, man. I thought it looked a lot better than people made it sound. I think it was kind of. They're putting some weird spots. I think it was interesting seeing, watching the All-22 and getting my grading done. I noticed that a lot of the, intermediate to deep concepts that they were running, the 5 to 7 step drops that they were running, the protection actually looked really well, even in really good, even in the rollout game and all this different stuff. Really what the issues came in, it was the quick game where, the 3-step, the 1-step, the shuffle, drops that Burrow was taking. I think, just holding onto the ball a little too long, the offensive line naturally setting back, losing that ground out the gate, just to kind of evaluate stuff better and see things better. I think made it look a lot worse than it actually was. I think my biggest concerns with the offensive line came in the run game. It didn't look great in the beginning of the game. I think they cleaned it up a lot there in the third quarter. But overall, I thought they looked pretty good. They looked a lot better than I thought they would. Some guys looked as good as I thought they would in a positive or negative way. But overall, I thought it was a solid week one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, I don't think protection-wise for Jackpot, I don't think it looked that bad. Trent Brown, say what you want. The run game, yeah, I think there was some to be desired there. With that being said, is it more of the offensive line not blowing the holes open? Do you think it was running backs missing them? Where is that conflict at?
Yeah, a lot of what I saw was, I mean, the lane would pop open, but they weren't able to keep them open. They were able to create the lane initially, but by the time the running back was able to get there, they'd either gotten beat across their face and closed up the lane, or they'd got jammed back into the lane. And I think a lot of that also comes from, I think the tight ends were a little up and down as far as run blocking goes as a unit. I mean, you even got some instances where Trenton Irwin's involved or Yoshi Boss is involved, and I mean, all of those things don't really, get to a solid run game, but I think everyone saw the people post about it, including myself. But when they were able to get into that 12 personnel set, with Eric All, Drew Sample in there, it looked a lot better.
Oh God!
Let these five guys up front, just do their thing and let those guys make the more athletic blocks. I think it looked a lot more clean. So
I mean, watching Sample and All block people was ridiculous. Sample Pancake, one of the guys for Pancake, he did it just for you, Pancake, yes, in the end zone. And Eric All, I am so impressed with that dude. I think we might have stole him, to be honest, because again, when we drafted him, at first thought for me was, okay, he might be on the PUP list, and he might be more of maybe the end of the year to next year project. But holy crap, dude, he's a freaking damn near an offensive lineman. Him and Sample, the way they block out there, you put them out there, we started. That's when we started running the ball down their throat, and that was, it was only one series, but that's what it looked like. The thing with that is now I want to roll that into the right side. And Trent Brown and Richard Skinner was on my show the first Tuesday we did at Moreland Lager House, and in his words. Because I asked, I said, how long do you think it'll be till Mims gets in? And I said, before Trent Brown either gets injured or whatever, he goes, it might be the first game because he thought Trent Brown might not make it the first game because he thought he was so out of shape. He thought he might puke or whatever. Just in general, how do you think Trent Brown looked, and how long do you think it'll be till Mims is in there? Are they going to stick with Trent until he gets injured, or is this just a couple weeks away and Mims will be in there?
Yeah, no, I think, Trent Brown looked exactly like I thought he would look, for better or for worse. I mean, I thought he looked like just a larger Lyle Collins, still had the issue with the slow feet, had the issue with trying to, get hands on early, which is great, but he's also really extending out and trying to lean on guys and, again, get hands on and just kind of carry around the edge. I'd like to see a little bit more athleticism out there on the perimeter. That's what I think I'm excited for with Mims.
Oh, God,
but as far as, how long it takes for Mims to see the field, I do think it's going to be a few weeks. I think we get a month and a half into the season before that becomes a real possibility. Not necessarily because of injury or anything, but I think, they want to get Mims fully healthy. I know he's still working. He's getting treatment on that pec still as of today. Still working back. I think you give him a couple weeks to fully rehab, and then you give him a few more weeks to, start getting into those reps, maybe even spring reps in practice with Trent Brown. Maybe he can finally earn that spot. I think if it's not by like week 5 or 6, we're probably looking. I don't remember when the bye is this year, but I think it's probably going to be towards that.
I have to look it up. I don't remember it offhand, but I know somebody who might. Now this is the day for nicknames. I got Pancake on with me, and in the waiting room, we've got one of the original podcasters of Bengals Nation. It's the Godfather, Anthony Cosenza. AC, what is going on, my man?
Oh, what's going on, guys? Sorry for being late. One of those days, but
it happens, dude.
Good to be with both of you. I know.
Exactly. No worries, man. I always appreciate you guys giving me time. All right, so AC, we're talking a little bit of offensive line here, and Pancake was talking about. We were talking about Trent Brown here and how long it might be till Mims gets it, because I can't wait. I think Mims is going to be so athletic and so good. I'm giddy with excitement. What's your opinion? Do you think it's good? They're gonna wait till Trent Brown gets injured, or is it sooner than later? What's your thoughts on Mims?
We're just automatically already expecting an injury. Is that
he hasn't made it through a season in the last 4 years without getting hurt. He hasn't.
I caught what Parker was saying on the way in here. I'm kind of in agreement. I think it's a little bit further down the road between the injury, making sure that they're confident in his development along the way. Rough first game across the board. Rough first game for Trent Brown. There was a couple of really bad reps in there that kind of blew up a couple of plays there. So I still expect him to be decent going forward. Probably not the same player that we've seen make Pro Bowls and do all kinds of different stuff. But Mims probably won't be in the lineup, I don't think, until a little bit later. And I think, Brown, if you look at the performance on this Bengals team, unfortunately, a lot of the new guys they brought in via free agency, draft, whatever, a lot of the new guys were making the mistakes in this game here. And so that wasn't a great showing by him. But again, across the board, just wasn't all that great from the whole team. So I think you'll probably see Mims a little bit down the road. I just hope that things just kind of improve across the board after that week one, because that was pretty terrible.
They can't get much worse. And I said this on yesterday's show and Monday's show. I asked you guys. Start with you, Parker. Do you have any idea why the hell we can't start off good? There's no rhyme or reason. For some reason, this team and Joe Burrow, we really don't get going till November, and I hate to say that because we got a couple of games between now and November, but it's a fact. I mean, it can't be an excuse that Joe was hurt, this and that. Joe played the whole training camp and everything, and for the most part, everybody except Jamar played. There's no excuses for why we play like that. What's your thoughts, Parker?
Yeah, no, I think what I've noticed over the last few years. I think 3 years has been Joe Burrow seems to come out in that week one game and just be a little sped up. I don't know if it's maybe the week one yips or if
he said that. He said that on today's show. Yeah, on his press conference, he also said he had happy feet. What I thought was kind of interesting that he even admitted he had happy feet. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's just the self-awareness, right? And that's again, I think he just comes out early every year and just has those yips, gets a little sped up in his process. There was a lot of throws he had, I think, where he was in rhythm, checking it down. He wasn't really going through that full progression. I mean, he had guys available where he was looking to the main concept, and he just wasn't getting there. Or there was a couple opportunities as well where I feel like he didn't trust in his arm, maybe just because it's early in the year. But there was throws that we've seen him make down the stretch or even in these big playoff games that he just wasn't, comfortable making. And again, it's been over the last couple of years, so I think there's a lot of variables that go into it. You got the play calling aspect. You got, is it the preseason thing? Is it not the preseason thing? But at the end of the day, I think it's just he's one of those guys. He's going to get out here that week one, kind of just get excited and get there and just maybe have a little bit of the yips. And I think that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's Superman has his kryptonite, and maybe week one is Jackpot's kryptonite. One thing I will say, because people do say, bring up the play calling and stuff, and I always like to point this out, that there was, for where I was sitting, and I'm sitting up top now so I can see the whole field, there was at least 2 plays that I saw where he checked down. Jamar Chase is open, deep, and he didn't throw it. So, again, when people go back to saying play calling, they called the play, Jamar was open, and Joe didn't throw it. AC, what do you got?
Those were visible. There were a couple, and one was, I believe, one was on the very kind of their last drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, man, I just missed opportunities. Very uncharacteristic. I kind of said tongue in cheek on a show we did earlier this week that, Zach Taylor's week 1 and 2 is the new Marvin Lewis coming out of a bye, right? I mean, it's like pretty much. It's just a freaking mess,
sucks.
and you're thinking it's like, man, you've had all this time to prepare.
And every year we get excited like we're going to be good, and it just goes, we shit the bed. It's like, God.
Yeah, and it's a lesser opponent. It's a game you should win. Right. All that kind of stuff. And to me, I don't know what it was. Obviously there was a lot of self-inflicted mistakes. Gesicki drops a ball that hard catch, but we've seen him make catches. You make that catch. Geno Stone had his hands on a ball in the end zone. I talked about Trent Brown making a couple of mistakes. Charlie Jones in the punt return game, not only the fumble, but fielding a late punt at his own 5. All that kind of stuff where you just go, man, what are you doing here? And for me, with the new uniforms, season opener, home opener, all of that, my biggest problem, it seemed that the energy level wasn't really there. The pep wasn't really there. I mean, I again, I could be totally misreading that, but that's just my perception of what was going on there. And to Parker and your point, Ice, it was, instead of the palpable excitement and let's get these guys, as again, we got to start off hot. Instead of that, it was more jitters and jittery. And so that's where I go, man, is it the preseason lack of playing time and preparation because you're not really ready, because you haven't really been in so many game situations throughout the summer? I don't know, but you're 1-10 as Zach Taylor through these first couple of weeks as a Bengals head coach. You have to completely do something different going forward, because you cannot keep getting off to these 1-1, 0-2 starts all the time and figure that, hey, we'll just master things and we'll get 11-12 wins by the end of the season. You very well could, but
but we won't get
really, really hard on yourself.
Yeah, and we won't get that number 1 seed because Kansas City will fucking get it because they keep going out and starting good. That's the thing. It's like we want to get that. Not only do we want to go to the playoffs, we want to get that 1 seed. I want to get that 1 seed. I'm sick and tired. I know last year Kansas City didn't get it, but they didn't come here. They came here. I think it's. Hey, I'm a Bengals fan. I think we beat them, but we'll find out Tuesday. But I think it's different. That's the thing, is we need to get that number 1 seed. We need to get some more home playoff games, I think. Parker, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I do want to say, like, I feel like there was a lot that looked really good out there as far as the concepts that they were putting out in the field, and the players that were available were open. I mean, I thought, based on what I saw out of week 1, I think Yoshi's going to be a really big part of this offense moving forward. I know they didn't have T. Higgins out there, and he's kind of playing the T. Higgins role, but he was able to get open. They were moving him around a little bit. He wasn't just playing on the outside. He was getting into the slot as well, again, getting involved in run schemes. And I said even through the preseason, I think he's going to be a big piece of this offense. It's kind of exciting to, you lose Tyler Boyd, but then you bring in a guy like Yossi Vosh who feels like he took a step, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do, man. So,
but he needs to make that first down. I mean, that was a key. He's got to get to the sticks. If it's third and what was it? 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, whatever that was. I can't remember.
4th and 2.
4th and 2. That's right. 4th and 2.
Yes,
you got to convert that. You got to force your way to knock that guy over or make your cut deeper. 1 and 2. You got to get to the sticks on that. That's the one thing I'm a big Yoshi fan, but just you got to make that first down on there, because that was crucial. That was the game. I mean, and to me the whole game switched when Tanner Hudson, who I love Tanner Hudson. I was a big Tanner Hudson guy last year. I'm still a big Tanner Hudson guy, but what the hell was this? I don't know why the arm is flying this way and the ball's out here. It's kind of like, hey, you guys want the ball? Here it is. Take it. And it punched it out. And then if Tanner Hudson catches that ball, tucks it, runs it for a touchdown, that completely changes the game, guys.
Yeah, my assessment of looking at that, and I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses for him. It looked like he didn't really realize the guy who ended up tackling him from behind and stripping the ball out. I don't think he was really aware how close that guy was, and he decided to try and extend to get the ball over the end zone a bit quicker because he saw the guy to his left was not going to be able to catch him. So I don't think he had a proper gauge on the guy who ended up making the forced fumble, and he thought he could just extend, get it over. Still, careless with the ball at the goal line. A 10-point swing could have been even worse if the Patriots were any kind of
offense
on offense. Yeah,
right.
and so that's really you don't want to point to one play in the game, but that is obviously the biggest. The Charlie Jones fumble on a punt, that's a big. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot,
and the 3,000 missed tackles, and that's one thing I will see if you guys saw the same thing I did when I rewatched the game. To me, it looked like Luke called the right defenses for the most part. They were there. Dax Hill missed a couple tackles where he's coming in on the run to stop, but Geno Stone missed tackles. I mean, a lot of it to me looked like just missing tackles because the guys were freaking there. They just didn't tackle him. I mean, am I just being a homer of that, or is that what you guys saw? Parker, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, no, it was a problem last year too, right? Like I think it wasn't as dramatic of an issue last year, but I think there was a lot of games last year where they were getting into it wasn't double digits like it was this week, but I mean they were getting into the high single digits.
It was 3,000. It was 3,000, Parker. I call it. There's 3,000. I counted all of them. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Counted all
I'm
of
just
them.
kidding. I counted all of them.
But yeah, no, I think it's just an issue with this defense. It's one of those things where you got to wonder how they're addressing that, in their day to day, what drills they work in, whether it's the off season, whether it's camp, whether it's in season, or what are you doing to address that? Is that just something that you're hoping guys can just work out and figure out? Is that another early season rust type thing? It's all, there's a lot of variables that can go into that, but at the end of the day, especially these perimeter players, because that's where I think a lot of the issues came from. You have to be better at securing those tackles, especially when you're going to be, that last line of defense, whether it's on the perimeter or on the back end. You can't, be arm tackling. You can't be diving at guys. You got to be able to at least wrap up, hold a guy up, and let everyone else rally to the ball.
Yeah, the other element that drove me up the wall was the Brissett drop back to pass, nobody's open, and then he tucks and runs it. And somehow something that should have been a quarterback run stuff, a sack, anything like that, turns into a 5-yard gain, 7-yard gain, and it just extends the drives. And it was like shades of old Big Ben, right? I mean, it was just like, man, you have them, and then it's like, oh my God, what just happened? And so those were the plays that really drove me nuts. And then you had the one, I think it was, and I love the guy, but Cam Taylor-Britt at the end of the game, I think there was one, it was either he or Dax that
He just went for a ride.
Yeah. And I think Parker said it well that a lot of them were on the perimeter. Sam Hubbard had an issue. I think it was against Stevenson where he kind of had him wrapped up. He ended up making the tackle, albeit 3 more yards later instead of being right around the line of scrimmage. And those are the sort of things, those you don't bring a guy down on the first contact and they get a handful more yards than expected. Those are the things that extend drives. Those are the things that tire out your defense. Those are the things that keep the football out of your offense's arms. So it's like, neither were really doing that many favors for each other. And I know there's a cliche about playing complementary football, but there was a disconnect between finally when the defense was getting stops or, lessening the blow of a turnover from special teams of the offense, then the offense was completely inept and couldn't take advantage from there. And that's the kind of thing where you got to start getting that momentum back on track. Yeah,
one thing I want to bring, we talk about Jacoby Brissett running out the middle. That's where I saw, again, on one of the replays, Sheldon Rankins was there, but then he threw his guy to the side to try to get to the quarterback. And as soon as he did that, that's when Brissett goes, oh, I can run right up the middle. And I think that's where we need those guys to make sure because Trey Henderson, I think, had a great game. I mean, he was in the backfield a lot, and that's why Brissett was stepping up. We need B.J. Hill and Rankins to sit there and stand their guys up and hold them there, so they don't move either way, and then Brissett can run right into them. That's what I noticed more with when Brissett was getting yards there after the pocket there. What do you got, Parker?
No, yeah, for sure. And I saw something come out where the Bengals had one of the top pressure rates in the league this week. And they had the low, I think it was like the highest pressure rate in the league, and then the lowest pressure to sack conversion rate in the league. And it's like,
you kept stepping
up. About complimentary. I mean, I guess you're top bottom, but you definitely don't want to be top and bottom in that order. So it's like,
right.
I don't know. You'd like to see more conversion. I mean, like you said, it looked like Trey was getting a ton of pressure as much as he was whining on the sideline, like defensive linemen do. But you got to find these guys that can at least push the pocket. You don't want to, get easily, turned out and create these running lanes. And that's where I had a lot of concerns coming out of week 1, I guess more on the defensive side, where it's like, well, Jacoby Brissett's not a crazy athlete, not a high-level quarterback. You have to play a guy in Lamar Jackson twice a season. And so it's like, if you're going to let Jacoby Brissett tear you up like that, you're going to let Ramondre Stevenson, who's a really good running back, but he's no Derrick Henry. So, I mean, you're going to have kind of a Patriots, but a better version of the Patriots in your division twice this season. So I really hope they're able to figure something out up there. I was kind of underwhelmed by what Sheldon Rankins was able to do. I really was excited to see what juices they're going to be able to bring to the pass rush. I thought him and B.J. Hill were going to be able to do a great job as far as beating up the interior of some of these pockets that they were going to see, and it just felt like that wasn't there at all against the beat-up offensive line.
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing, and we're definitely going to have to tighten that up, especially when we go against the Ratbirds here. Now, I had a late night last night. We were at Moron Lager House, and I was there till like 9. I had to get up at like, what time did I get up this morning? 2:50 this morning to go to work. So I have no idea what's going on. I heard a little bit about this on Burrow's press conference, but Vanguard here, maybe you guys can help me out here, said, Ice, what's up with Burrow's water bottle gate nonsense that is going around the internet? Can you guys tell me? Because I don't know.
Take it away,
Parker,
AC.
what do you? Yeah, no, you got it, man.
So, somebody inform me, please. Inform Iceman. I don't know.
I think it's a lot out of nothing. There's this video of him on the sideline, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the one where he's sitting on the bench. He reaches down to grab a water bottle that's just on the turf next to him, and he picks it up. And I do that all the time at my games. I'm not even playing in them. I can't imagine trying to pick up one of these sweaty water bottles with sweaty palms.
What, slip off his hand or something?
Yeah, like he double clutched it a little bit and used his other hand and was good to go.
He kind of self-tossed. He kind of self-tossed it to himself, right? I mean, and just kind of re-grabbed it. And it's like, I kind of feel like we all kind of goof around and do that every once in a while, right? I mean, I think everybody just based on the performance and based on him, doing the hand flex and all that kind of stuff. He
always does that
under the microphone. I know.
That's what kills me. People are like, "Oh, he's flexed his wrist." I'm like, he always does that. He did that before. I mean, I don't. People crack me up with this stuff.
What was it, a press conference? Was that today? Where
was today the press conference? Yeah. Right before somebody asked him about it.
I always keep it loose. He's like, it's an injury, and I saw a couple kind of these sports doctors that come out and post about all the teams and all the injuries around the league. They're talking about it's going to be stiff. He had an injury to it. It's a joint. That's going to be a rough time to get over the long haul. And he's like, it's not necessarily hurting. I'm just making sure it's going to keep loose, keep warm. So
yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, you're doing and somebody. I wish I knew who said this, but I thought it was a great explanation. Basically, explaining he had like an ACL surgery on his wrist. It's basically what he had done, which quarterbacks don't get done. So yeah, it might be a little stiff, might be a little sore. I mean, he said in his press conference today, which take it for what it is. Joe's not going to say he's hurt or whatever. He said he's fine and the wrist is fine, and it had nothing to do with him not taking deep shots. But I like we talk about him not playing in the preseason or anything. But guys, he hasn't played since. If that was the first game he played a football game since November. What's that? 10 months?
That's a good point.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's where I'm like, that. I don't care how good you are. Yeah, play a real NFL football game in 10 months. You're going to be a little rusty. Or you're going to be. Maybe you don't trust what you're seeing because you're not used to the speed. You're not used to that because it's just life. You like, all right, I'll do stuff on the show here, and I'll do some kind of cool edit or something. I'm like, oh, that's great. And then a couple weeks later, I'm like, how the hell did I do that? And you can't remember. Now, I'm old, and I'm a little not that smart sometimes, so maybe that's different between me and Joe. But if you don't do something, you're going to not necessarily forget, but you're going to get out of the habit, the being used to it, used to the speed and trusting what you see. That's what it seemed like to me, to Joe. And Joe doesn't start good. So you have that on top of the 10 months. That's why I think Joe played like he did. But guys, they're playing the Chiefs. I think they're going to be up for this. I don't know how they can't be up for this. All right, this is the NFL has put this as one of the biggest rivals in the league. And they put it there at 4:00. They're obviously sending us to Burrowhead. They always send us there. They don't want to come here anymore because they always lose when they come here. If these guys can't get up for this game, they're not going to be able to get up for anything. That's where I'm like, I think it's going to be a complete and total different team. Because let's look at last year. I mean, a play here or there when Jake Browning was the quarterback, that could be a different game. It could be a lot closer game. The Bengals could have won that game. There were parts of that game where they were still in it. So, I mean, this is going to be an interesting game. What's your guys' keys to winning on Sunday at 4:00 at Burrowhead? Parker, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wrapped up a couple articles today talking about some Bengals stuff, and I think, from my perspective, I'm excited because I get to see guys like Chris Jones and George Karlaftis tee off against this offensive line that's returning 4 starters. You got Trent Brown on the right side, which I'm a little worried about. I actually went in to PFF and did a little breakdown of where Chris Jones is aligning because I think he's really one of those. He's a game changer up front for the Chiefs and for anybody in the league that could get him, honestly, but. He does a lot lining up on that, the right side of the offensive line as a defensive end. They move him around all across that line, and they use him to kind of take advantage of some of these matchups. So I'm interested to see, if they're going to line him up on top of Kappa and Trent Brown all day. It could be a long day, or we could get really excited because Kappa and Trent Brown are able to elevate their game and really contain that guy. So that's one of the key matchups for me is how this right side of the offensive line comes into this game and how they're able to handle Chris Jones, and then how the offensive scheme accounts for him and accounts for where he's going to be and the impact he can have on the game. But again, don't sleep on a guy like George Karlaftis. I loved him coming into the draft, and I think Orlando Brown's going to have a pretty easy day with him, but I think it's going to be a fun matchup to watch as well.
I'm looking at the secondary for the Bengals because, and not just for obvious reasons, being a high-powered passing offense of the Chiefs, but if you watched in that first game against the Ravens, it's a ton of crossers, and they just let them use their speed, right? It's a lot of drag stuff, a lot of just boom, and then let them go, right? And then when the Bengals, when we're talking about some of the boundary issues and tackling, that sort of thing, the secondary from a receiving standpoint, passing standpoint, the Bengals secondary wasn't tested a whole bunch last week, and so they'll have a big test this week. And then you've got the mini bye that the Chiefs have, and staying at home on top of that. So it's like, man, there's a lot of cards kind of stacked up against the Bengals here. They have to. It's for me, it's the secondary, and they have to be able to find someone else to be able to somewhat consistently get pressure who's not named Trey Hendrickson. You have to be able to find someone else.
Hopefully Joseph Osai is kind of who I'm
They gave him very few pass rush reps.
I know. Well, they ran the ball a lot too. I kind of brought that up yesterday to Trags, and he had a good point. They ran the ball a lot. That's why Joseph isn't out there on running plays, so that could be why he wasn't out there. But I still would like to see him out there. Do we know, like Myles Murphy? When is he coming off the?
Well, he got IR, right? So he's not coming back to like week 5 at the earliest, right?
Yeah, I was going to say he's at least a month, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I knew because I get confused with the pup list and the IR and all that stuff. I forget how long they are. Now, Parker, I got a question for somebody asked this earlier in the chat. The run game and the blocking schemes. Do you think on Sunday they were not very aggressive or progressive? Do you think they should do a different kind, attack it a different way on Sunday against Kansas City?
I thought it was really interesting because it felt like they only ran out like a handful of schemes, and obviously you don't want this huge, run game section in your playbook, but it's also you want to see kind of what your guys can do. I thought it was interesting they ran dart, trying to pull Trent Brown one time, didn't go great. They ran power O with Bolson one time, went half decent. They pulled Kappa to the left side one time, was all right. They ran a couple versions of counter. But outside of that, it felt like just straight duo most of the game, which I'm not mad about. I think the way they've built this offensive line, that's a good thing for them to do. That's something they could be really successful in. I think we saw them in the third quarter again really start popping off with duo. I think it looked really well. It's just I think, again, kind of like we talked about all season last year, they have to just be able to feel confident in what they're able to do with it and then just lean on it a little bit more at times. Like when I was watching through the All-22, I just didn't really have the score in the back of my mind, and you would have thought that they were playing down 2 scores the entire second half, and that wasn't the case. But it was that they were airing it out. They weren't very aggressive with the run game. It's not really a scheme thing, a concept thing, but it's more just why are we taking deep shots on first down? Why, if you're going to be in 4-down territory where you feel like you want to go for that 4th down, be willing to run the ball on second medium, second long, or third medium. Like it's okay to just kind of try and get that chunk of yardage. And again, third quarter, they were breaking off some really solid runs, and then just kind of went away from it. I don't know really what happened there. So
that last drive, I think it was the one that is that the one that Zach Moss scored on? Was that third quarter? Yeah. That's the one.
One of my favorite versions of counter I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that drive looked great, and then we got the ball back, and we went 3 and out, and we never went back to it. Were you guys surprised that they didn't use Chase Brown a little more, especially in the screen game? Because I saw a lot of screens in training camp and stuff. I thought the screen game would be a little bigger in this offense. AC, what do you got?
I was a little bit. I just kind of think they were just totally out of sorts, and there was not a semblance of any kind of rhythm.
Do you think they were holding stuff back? That's kind of, I don't know. That's kind of the back of my mind. Were they trying to be a vanilla offense because they're playing the Patriots, but they were too vanilla, to not show anything to Kansas City? Do you think the coaching staff was thinking that kind of? Because that's the way it kind of looked to me.
If they did, that's. I'll be diplomatic and say that's an unwise decision to do that, because you want to win every single game that you can, man. I mean,
right. Well, I think they thought they could win without. I don't know. Maybe they overlooked the Patriots. Like, we can beat these guys with just this. I don't know.
I think it's a perfect storm that we've talked about. It's Dan Pitcher's first game as an offensive coordinator calling a game, right? Or at least being part of that brain trust that calls the game. Joe Burrow's coming back from an injury, very limited preseason reps, all that stuff. And you've got a lot of new players now stepping into big roles, as we've mentioned, the guys who kind of stumbled a little bit on Sunday. So I think there's just kind of this perfect storm of stuff. But I think also when you're not getting the shots, you're not taking the shots downfield, and you're not kind of finding a rhythm every once in a while, trying to set up a screen and let Chase Brown do his thing, or set up something like that to try and pop a big play and get yourself a spark. I think that would have been maybe something that they wanted to sprinkle in, but they felt that they had kind of a high percentage passing game going. It just wasn't nothing was beyond the sticks really that much. So I would look for him to be a bit more involved, especially just using that speed this week.
Yeah, exactly. I just, like I said, we step up for games in Kansas City. I think it's going to be a completely different game. Will we win? I don't know, but I think it's going to be a lot better performance than Sunday. That's just my personal opinion. I have no basis other than that. Then I just think that, AC, I know you got to get out of here. Appreciate you coming on.
You kicking me off? Are you booting me?
Well, you say you gotta get there by like 6:10, 6:11, so you're 6:03. I figured that, I start the goodbye, and then maybe 10 minutes later you actually get off, because I like to talk too much, but I'll give you enough time so you can plug all your stuff. So because you are the Godfather, you got Godfather in the brain, on the Cincy Jungle, so we gotta make sure we get those guys to plug. So
that's the new Pinky in the brain.
Godfather. Yeah, that dude. You should actually see. You guys should call up the Bengal boys and do a version of the Godfather or Pinky in the Brain. Just do Godfather in the Brain. That should be your new intro song. See, I'm just an idea man. I got it.
I like it. Yeah, CincyJungle.com for the writing stuff. Podcasts are there also, and on the Facebook page there that we stream live. We stream live on Twitter. We stream live on our YouTube channel, The Orange and Black Insider, and our show, along with a small handful of others, are all on the Believe Network now. So the Believe in Cincy podcast channel with about 4 total shows, and we're cranking out content nearly daily between all of us. So you got to go resubscribe. If you were on our old audio feed, you got to go find the new audio feed and resubscribe to the Believe in Cincy podcast channel. And then I appreciate both of you guys. You guys put out awesome stuff. Thanks for having me on, and good chatting with both of you about some Bengals, and hopefully we're talking about a different result next week, because God, that was just freaking painful to watch. This
dude, I was at the game, and it was like pulling teeth. It sucked.
That's my thing was like, what was actually exciting about that game?
The punt, the 80-yard punt,
the almost awesome punt.
Yeah. I look back at that game, and it was just like a whole bunch of blah. I'm like, oh my God, what was it?
I know. The punt. People ask me, like, you actually rewatch that? I'm like, well, I kind of have to, so I can actually talk about it, because you see stuff better on the rewatch sometimes than you do during the game. But yeah, it was hard to watch it again. I'll tell you that. And the thing that irritated me is seeing these guys right there make the damn tackle. You're right there, and they just couldn't do it. It was just, and then Joe just checked down to. It's typical. I hate to say it, but typical Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, game 1. I don't know. If you go back to the one game he won in Minnesota, which I think, AC, that was the game you were there, that we took our picture at. If Jermaine Pratt doesn't rip the ball out of Cook's hands there, Dalvin Cook's hands, they probably lose that game. He probably is over as far as a Bengals coach, as far as opening day goes. So, the thing is, and we're close. It's not like we got blown out. If you don't fumble the ball twice, you win the damn game, even with all the missed tackles. So, it is.
I don't know, and I'll get out of here. But, if this does not go their way again, and you start 0-2, that's 0-2 in the conference as well, just to start off the season. So, I just hope that the urgency's there. I hope that the mistakes will. They for sure can't make the amount of mistakes that they made this last week. So, let's hope for a good one.
Exactly. Sounds good, AC. Appreciate you, Brad.
See you guys. Take care.
That's the Godfather, Anthony Cosenza. So you got to say it like that, Anthony Cosenza. You got to get deep, and I don't know. I just sometimes
get raspy with it.
Yeah, sometimes I get a little weird. Sorry. All right, Pancake. So, what do you got coming up here? Just so you plug some of your stuff here too. While we got you here, like tell us about your articles and what you got going on.
Yeah, no, I can tell everybody follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you're calling it in your side of the world, man. That's where I post everything. I post every article that I write gets posted on there. Every show that I'm on gets posted on there. I try and hop around, try to talk to everybody. I just like talking ball. I'm doing more consistent stuff. I always write for all Bengals. I do my game recap, game preview. Wrapped up my game preview today. It'll get posted near the end of the week for week 2. I'll be posting my grades on there, little synopsis. I do my Sunday recap on there. Just kind of a lot of just all my Bengals stuff will go through there. And then I got on with Malik at TWSN to do some more non-Bengal stuff. I'll do a lot of draft coverage on there, a little more around the league type stuff. But then again, subscribe to me on X, and that's where you can get my full reports. And then I'll do a lot of my shadow team stuff, a lot of my draft coverage. I'm going to both the Senior Bowl and the Combine this draft cycle, so I'll be doing a lot of live coverage from there once that comes around. But yeah, again, just follow me on X, and you'll see everything there. And then you can follow me there.
Exactly. Now, one thing I do want to talk. We talked about Trent Brown, and I don't know why I'm having he's blanking my. Not the guard.
Kappa.
Yeah, Kappa.
Sure.
Kappa had a down year last year. How we talk about Brown, and you did mention Kappa a little bit. What was your thoughts on that side of the ball? We were talking about not that side. You're talking about Trent. Let's talk about Kappa. What was your thoughts on Kappa and how he played week 1?
Yeah, for sure. No, and I saw a lot of people talk about how he had a down year last year, and I don't necessarily think it was a down year. I don't think you saw like regression out of him like you see in some older players. He's not crazy, like a 14-year vet or anything like that, but he's getting up there. I think he's on his 3rd contract now. But I don't think he was a down year. I think, and I said this, from the day they signed him, I think he's just a type of guy where he's the player that he's going to be. He has his strengths. He has his weaknesses. He's just he is who he's going to be. And so sometimes he's going to get a good matchup that he's just going to absolutely blow the top off. He's going to be the best guy on the line that week. And there's some matchups where you're going to have to give him some more help. He's going to struggle against, these guys. The Sheldon Rankins game last year, I think was a great example. I think he really struggled there. But I think it's just he is who he is, and when he came in, he was one of the better guys of the group, and I think now this group is slowly elevating. I feel like Cordell Volson took a step. Orlando Brown's a solid player. You got Ted Karras is again a steady player, and while it might feel like Cap was kind of going up and down week to week, I think it's really just he's giving you the same production. It just looks different against different teams. And so I think week 1. He did have his struggles, but it was nothing new. It was nothing that I hadn't seen before. He's got loose hips in pass protection. He doesn't stay square very well. He doesn't have an incredible anchor, but he's a great people mover in the run game. I thought I was kind of underwhelmed by his performance as a run blocker this week because that's usually what he's really good at week to week, something that he really excels in. So I expect to see him kind of bounce back from a low performance in week 1 in that aspect. I think especially being next to Trent Brown, they're really going to be able to move some guys. There were some flashes in week 1 of them just absolutely deleting defensive tackles and defensive ends. So I do feel like he'll bounce back. I know a lot of people are really low on him. I don't buy into the whole, we'll move Karras or this guy in. I think if there's anything, if they do want to move on from him, it'll be Cody Ford in at right guard. It'll be Jackson Kirkland pushing for that job. I don't think you don't want to move multiple pieces around when you don't have to. But again, I think he is who he is. I think he's the same player he was when he came into Cincinnati. I just think now when the talent around him is elevated, he is kind of, just an average guy in this group now.
Yeah, I think you're getting a lot of the move Ted Karras over because of Matt Lee, the center that the Bengals drafted, and how impressive he was in this preseason. What's your and they signed, and with them signing Ted Karras, so Ted Karras is not going anywhere. So if you want to make Matt Lee your center eventually, then you got to move Ted to guard. What's your thoughts on Matt and how he looked and to possibly be the Bengals' future center?
Yeah, no, I think the direction that this Bengals offensive line room is going, they want to get bigger bodies to tackle. I even heard from a couple just family members from offensive linemen throughout the preseason that they are looking for even bigger guard body types. They have Volson and Kappa who are big bodies, but I think they're even looking to bring in some tackles so they can convert to that guard. And they had Eric Miller in from Louisville who played exclusively right guard throughout the preseason, who was like 6'7" and 320. They want these bigger bodies in there so they can have. It's almost, and I keep likening it to the Eagles, right? I know Jason Kelsey's a Hall of Famer, but I mean, when you have a smaller, more athletic guy, especially a high IQ guy that you can run at center, what you want to do is put the mountains around him, so you can you don't have to worry about
Which
him
is what
being
they
a
did.
mover in the run game, which is what they did. You got guys like Jordan Mailata, you got Isaac Seumalo out there now. I mean, you got it's just what you do, and there's a lot of different ways to build an offensive line, and that's the way they're going. However, I do want to say, if you don't like what the 6-year NFL vet that played in Super Bowls, won Super Bowls, is giving you, I don't know what you think you're going to get out of the 7th-round rookie that almost went undrafted. I love Matt Lee, big Matt Lee fan, was really high on him coming out. But again, he's still a rookie. He still has a long way to go. I didn't love what I saw in the limited training camp and practice clips that I saw of him. I think he's got a ways to go. I think that's why you saw a Karras extension. I think they're obviously not terribly comfortable with what they're going to have with Matt Lee right out the gate. But I do think, Ted Karras and Alex Kappa are probably on final contracts. And so that's where, I was really interested this preseason watching guys like Jackson Kirkland show that flexibility, watching guys like Matt Lee get out there and get a ton of reps in, watching how Cody Ford was able to do it if he has to fill in at that spot. I think Cody Ford's going to be the first guy off the bench. You're not going to see Trent Brown bump down to guard. You're not going to see Amarius Mims go in at guard. It's going to be Cody Ford or it's going to be Jackson Kirkland if Kappa, whether he goes down or gets yanked for whatever reason. And I think you're going to see Amarius Mims at the back end of the year. And that's where, kind of my final note on that whole situation. I think the starting 5 in week 1 this year is not going to be the same starting 5 you see in week 18, and it's not necessarily going to be injury related.
It's going to be Mims at right tackle.
It sure is, at least.
At least. I hope so. Now, we'll talk about Kirkle. Were you, how surprised were you with, I'll say surprised, but I don't know another way to say it. How surprised were you with his versatility, being able to play tackle and guard?
I wrote an article about him last preseason when I was like, man, I hope they keep this guy on the practice squad. I hope they stash this guy. He got a lot of reps in like the first couple of games, and they like yanked him. He didn't play like all the rest of the preseason. I think it's because they liked what they saw. I really liked what I saw out of him last year, and so I was really glad to see him come back. I know he was even snapping last year, so he's now shown. I mean, Pollock came out and said that he really liked what he's been showing at left tackle. So he's now shown, what is essentially 5-position versatility, which the Bengals are going to love. He's a great, tweener size that you can kind of slot in wherever he can hang at tackle, but he can also be a, fine center if he has to be. And I'm really excited to see kind of him progress. I was really interested to see what he looked like this preseason because he did have a ways to go. He was kind of a back, and I think he ended up being a practice squad guy last year. Oh, he did for sure. Was a practice squad guy. He didn't make the 53.
Right. Yeah.
But I think he took a step, and obviously he did. He made the 53 this year. I think he's going to be a game day active. I think he's going to be kind of that all-around flex guy. I think he's a guard tackle kind of flex type guy. But when you have Mims, him, and Cody Ford on the sideline, I think Kirkland's now that guy that because I don't know who they're going to have active. I'm not going to even play that game. But anyway, love Kirkland, love what he can do, love his versatility. I think he can play all 5 spots, and I'm excited to see. I hope they keep him for the long term. I hope they develop him, and I hope he can kind of slot in and be that Alex Kappa replacement.
Now, it'll be interesting. I know we got ways to go to the draft, but from the way you're talking and the way the contracts are set up, it looks like they would be looking probably second, third round for a guard center combo again to eventually, the NFL is not for long to replace, Kappa or Karras there. Right now, it's kind of early, but do you have guys that you're looking at that might be there in the second or third round in next year's draft, or is it too early for that right now?
No, early. It's always funny because it's the positional value game, right? Like I have first round grades on a couple interior offensive linemen. I mean, Tyler Bucker's probably my guy.
Okay, well, do you think
really good?
Well, do you think the Bengals would draft? I don't see them drafting, spending a first-round pick on a guard or center. That's just me. I think
I don't think they do either. And I think the NFL overall, I think those guys are going to slip. And that's where I'm like, when I see high-value, interior offensive linemen, well, I mean, I said last year Zach Frazier was a first-round pick guy, in my opinion. He ended up going in the second. But I think these guards, these interior offensive linemen that are true interior offensive linemen, no matter how good you are, you're probably going to fall at the earliest to the back end of the first round, which is hopefully where the Bengals are picking. But I think if I've talked about it a little bit already, but if you start getting there and they've slid to you, I wouldn't be opposed to even trying to trade back, get an extra draft pick, and still get one of these top end interior offensive linemen that I think could be there early to mid second round. I think both of those guys could probably fall into that late first round to mid second round type range. And that's where I'd love to grab them because I think they're both, specifically those two, Booker and Ratledge, are going to be long-term NFL starters, and they could be honestly day one starter caliber players. So.
And that's the thing is the Bengals are going to have to go back into the draft for this offensive line because I've said this before. They got to get some of this money off this offensive line. I mean, they're older guys. They got to be. They're expensive. They got to be. I mean, we want to sign Chase. Well, I hope we sign T. Higgins, but I don't think that's going to happen. But there's going to be other guys down the line that we want to sign, and you have a lot of money tied up in your offensive line. So hopefully we start with Cordell Volson. We drafted him or developing him. We got Mims now, so it looks like they're on the right path to drafting and developing guys. Which, let's be honest, before Cordell Volson, they sucked at it for years of drafting offensive linemen and develop them. Cordell Volson, to me, looked like he's been a hit. And I know, and it's funny, seems like there's always somebody on this offensive line that Bengals fans pick on or we got to get rid of. And, it's Jonah Williams for the longest time. I kept defending him, say he wasn't that bad, yada, yada, yada. And now it seems like it's Cordell Volson. And I don't get the Cordell hate. I mean, I think he's done pretty darn good, and is he an all-pro? No. Can he be that? Probably not, but he can be an average to good, above average guard, and I think that's what you need. You're not always going to have an all-pro at every single position, and sometimes I feel Bengals fans think that the offensive line should be all pros and should never let Joe Burrow ever get hit in his entire life, which is not going to happen. It's football. Joe's going to get hit. But what's your thoughts on the latest drafting and developing of Bengals offensive linemen compared to what it was a couple years ago? And how do you think Frank Pollock is doing as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a Cordell Volson truther since they drafted him. So
yeah.
I love it. But no, I think, the ceiling, obviously, right now from where they're at, if Volson is able to keep up what he's been able to show through, the drive against the Bucs, and then now this first game of the regular season, if he's able to keep up this pace, he's going to, like you said, I think he could be up to an above-average guard. Maybe not one of these, top 10 guys. But, again, you don't need that. I think he's a very solid player. I think he does what he needs to do. I think he's good at doing his role. And then you have Amarius Mims, who we all expect to come in and be a long-term, high-level player. And then if you're able to get a guy like a Matt Lee in there at center, and he's able to, live up to the expectations that I feel like fans are already setting for him, that's three long-term pieces that you now no longer have to worry about. And I've talked about a lot where the line in general, but especially that right tackle position that's been it's new guy every single year for a few years now.
Swing gate, the changing door, whatever you call it. They're always got somebody new over there.
Turnover is crazy, but I think if you can get Mims in there long term, you got a few years left of Orlando, and then you get Volson, who's going to get re-signed. You hope to see you get Lee that can step up. You get maybe it's a Kirkland for now, but you bring in a guy in the draft that maybe can battle for that right guard spot or that center spot. I mean, you're in a position now where you can start trying to solidify this O-line for the long term. And then, again, I talk about a lot when it comes to contract stuff. I don't want to get into it. No one cares. But when you're looking to re-sign guys for the long term, whether it's second, third contract, it all comes down to draft position. It all comes down to accolades. Your role on a team is great. Being a local guy is great. But at the end of the day, when your agent's arguing with the front office, it's going to be, you have no Pro Bowls, you have no All Pros, you have what accolades are you bringing to the table? And so if you're able to get these guys that, we talk about how Cincinnati sports are underrated, undercovered, that's actually benefiting you because now you're going to be able to sign them for at least a little bit cheaper. You're able to keep them a little bit longer. And you can really, I think Frank's done a great job. I mean, I talk every year kind of what I've seen from Volson as far as his development has gone. He hasn't really gotten the chance to develop some of these vets because a vet's going to come in and he's going to just be who he is. Like I talked about with Cap, he is who he is. Orlando Brown is who he is. Ted Karras is who he is. But you've seen him do it with Volson. I'm excited to see him do it with Mims. I feel like we've even seen him do it a little bit with Kirkland. And so if he's able to actually develop these guys like people say he can't, I'm really excited to see if they can start investing some day 2 picks on offensive linemen, and especially guys that Pollock's a big fan of, what we're actually going to see out of this offensive line. Maybe not, next year or the year after, but here in 3 seasons, 4 seasons, 5 seasons, this could be a really good unit, a really solid unit for a long time.
So when you talked about Orlando Brown eventually when he moves on, is there a chance that, because I can see this and I'm no offensive line expert whatsoever, that's why I'm asking you, is there a chance that they can move Mims from right to left? Is he that athletic and that versatile to make that transition?
I mean, I definitely got to see him on film still. Like, he had a limited sample size in college, and I haven't really seen a lot of him, between the preseason and now the week one. But I think, I've always been of the mind to just get a guy. The Bengals love getting a guy and putting him here, and getting this guy and putting him here. And it's like they're always trying to move the puzzle around. If he fits there at the right tackle position, I think you just let him get comfortable there and settle in there for the long term. I think, you get high-end tackles essentially every year now that come out. Go get a guy that in the draft that you can develop. Maybe it's a second, third, fourth round pick that you can now develop behind Orlando. Maybe has that similar frame that you can throw over there. But, I say that. And then again, I think out of the top like 5, 6, 7 tackles that came out of the draft this year, all of them, but maybe one or two switch sides of the line. So maybe that's just it's something easier with these more athletic guys. It's definitely possible. But in my opinion, if you're in your natural position, you feel good on that side. If you necessarily don't have the time, leave them where they're at. But if you want to develop them over the long term, you bring them in, you turn them into a swing tackle, and then you just kind of see where it goes, and then you can put them wherever. So I think Mims I would leave personally, but
I'm just throwing it out there for future stuff. I don't know. I mean, if they draft a solid left tackle,
for sure,
to replace Orlando Brown, then just freaking leave him at right. The thing you talk about swing tackle, I'm excited. I can't wait to see the first time that Mims comes on either next to Orlando Brown or Trent Brown, and we run the ball down somebody's throat right behind
the 12 personnel. Give me that jumbo set.
I can't wait for that, dude. I am so excited about that. Hopefully, actually, is Mims? Was Mims active? I can't remember.
He was inactive week one. He'll probably be inactive again this week. I think next week's probably the first week he's not next week. Week 3 will be the first time he's active on the roster.
All right, it'll be nice to have that this Sunday, but we're not going to. It's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey Parker, I appreciate you, man. Again, tell everybody where they can follow you at and all the stuff you got coming out before I let you go.
Yeah, follow me on X at Parker Blake 60. That's where literally I'll post everything. I do a few different shows now. I like coming on just the one-off shows that I'm not necessarily a part of long term, just to talk ball. But I'm on with Malik relatively regularly on his morning show on the Right Sports Network. I do the Sick Podcast with Jack Bogle. I'm actually recording tomorrow's episode tonight. We did an episode earlier this week. It's more college football and draft related. And then I write on all Bengals, do all my Bengals stuff through James Rapine over there. And then I do some writing for Malik and just, I throw stuff out all over the place. So again, follow me on X at Parker Blake 60. All my stuff's going to be there. Hit me up anytime if you have any O-line questions, football questions. I just love talking ball, man.
So are you making it to Cincinnati anytime this year?
Yeah, I'm coming out for the Tennessee game, and then we're going to road trip up for Thursday Night Football. So we're going to stripe out, baby.
Sweet. Well, if you're in town on a Tuesday, one of those, let me know, because you could join me at Moreline Lager House, and we could do a live show down there. Because I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm doing live shows down there, and I got my own tailgate now. I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm people are like, oh, you're big time. I'm not big time.
He's big time.
Not really.
And Jackpot Jeff now.
Yeah. I don't know about all that. Anyway, Parker, hey, hit me up when you come in town. We'll definitely have to get a beer or something, and we'll definitely maybe, like I said, hook up on the show Tuesday. But other than that, go follow Parker. Like I said, dude knows his stuff. Go check him out on the right. What's Bleak's thing? Right Side Sports
Network.
Right Sports Network. I always want to say the right side. It's Right Sports Network. Anyway, Bleak's a good dude. I love the guy. All right, Parker. Who day, brother?
Who day?
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. My thanks to the Godfather, Anthony Cosenza, and Pancake Parker Blake. Those are good dudes. So my thoughts for it's Wednesday. I don't have to give my thoughts for the game yet. We still got a couple more shows to go, but I do want to thank everybody who showed up last night to the Moreline Lager House. It was an absolute blast. I really hope more of you guys can show up there and support the show. It's a great time. This coming Tuesday, I already got booked. I'm going to have Jim Kelly on, Bearcats radio color analyst. He'll be on for the first hour. Joe will be there. Harrison, the comedian, will be on again. And Neil Meyer will be there. And we might be getting Tim also from the Riverfront. He might be showing us. So we might be talking a lot of Bearcat. Hopefully, talking some Bearcat football. Hopefully, talking some Bearcat football as far as the win goes. That would be great. Which they've got to win. I think this Saturday. against Miami. You can't lose to Miami two years in a row. And you just can't. You gotta beat. We owned Miami. Not owned. We owned Miami. We need to continue to own Miami, even though they're ending this rivalry. So, but anyway, please join us down there at the Moreland Lager House. Like I said, it's an awesome time down there on Tuesday nights. Show starts at 6, goes till 8. The happy hour is from 3 to 9. And then the Mercedes-Benz of Fort Mitchell at Moreland Lager House pregame experience. We're doing it 3 hours before the game. Now, this past week, it was in a smaller venue. You guys are not going to believe where we're having it. I can't tell you. You're just going to have to buy tickets and show up because I'm telling you, it is freaking worth it. And they're only $75. People are like, oh, my God, $75. I'm like, all right, well, the Banks is full of people. I guarantee you spending more than $75 on food and drink in the Banks, hanging out there. You come to this, it's $75. It's an awesome food buffet. If you saw in the videos, we had shrimp there, we had buffalo wings, we had crab cakes. Delicious, delicious food. We had all the beer you wanted. Open bar. I mean, my dad got a martini. I mean, people are like, what do you mean open bar? I'm like, literally, open bar, you can get whatever you want. Like, seriously? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, my dad ordered a martini. They gave him a martini. So it's open bar for $75. It's one of the best deals going around. You can't beat it. So again, on Tuesday nights, first of all, live sports talk at Moreland Lager House, 6 to 8, happy hour from 3 to 9. And then on Sundays, or should be on the Bengals home games, Mercedes-Benz of Fort Mitchell, at Moreland Lager House, pregame experience 3 hours before the show. Like I said, open bar, delicious buffet. We have a DJ. I'll be doing my podcast from there. It might be a half hour. It might be an hour. It just kind of depends on when I feel like ending it and how it's going. If we got a lot of people who are having fun and want to keep talking ball, we'll keep doing it. If you guys want to sit there and chill and drink and listen to music, we'll do that. So it's kind of a fluid thing. So, Tuesdays, Moreland Lager House, and Bengals home games, Moreland Lager House, the pregame experience. It will be awesome. Also, my shout out to Midwest's Best Barbecue. I asked the same question. If you haven't tried it, why the hell not? Get out there to Ward's Corner Avenue. Tell Tim and Nicole I sent you. Get you some Dillinator wings because the man is going into the Ring of Honor. Get you some Uno wings because he's going to get his contract eventually and he's going to ball out. Get you some CTB wings because he's going to make his first Pro Bowl. And you can just say, I had their wings, some of the best wings I've ever had at Midwest Best Barbecue. So go out there and check them out. Tim and Nicole are awesome, awesome people. Also, check out Meyer Windows and Doors and more at www.cincinnati.com for all your window and door needs. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They are energy efficient, great looking windows, and an awesome family. Again, Meyer Windows and Doors. Check them out at www.meyercincinnati.com. And my West Side peeps, if you're looking for a cool little sports bar to go check out Hail Mary's. It's your ticket to the game. Where you say it's your ticket to the game, they have a big ass TV screen. They have all the games there. They got beer specials, food trucks, free parking. It's an awesome, awesome place right in the heart of Cheviot. Again, tell them I sent you. It's Hail Mary's. It's your ticket to the game. All right, now you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. Evan McPhillips, who brings the fire, will be on the show tomorrow. Along with Joe. Joe Schmo will be back with me. Joe Schmo, basically, he's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so Joe Schmo will be back, and Evan McPhillips, and we will have an awesome, awesome time. Other than that, throw it up. That's your sports, baby. See ya!
They still gotta play us. Let's go, baby. Woo!
Hey, don't run that ball on the one Hubbard, showed you how that go down. Feeling like Santino, tell him we want all the smoke now. We ain't snooping that commercial, we don't put no smoke down. Plus we back and you can't hide, so it ain't nowhere safe to go now. And we always gon' turn up in that jungle every time. How we ain't gon' win when we loaded in with 9? Plus T just came in signed, so the city gon' be fine. Jamar say he open every time and he ain't never lied. Look at how we win at it like the size of the old line. Giving Burrow extra time should be a federal crime. Hey, we right back on that path again. Put the division back to the test, they won't pass again. Orlando and Trent Brown, that's the Tower Twins. Feel like we only getting better as we stacking wins.
And we stacking.
Jaceki in for 6, that's a gritty again. AFC North battles getting gritty again. It's Yoshi's second year, we just brought Burton in. Von back to ring some bells, get the cracking again.